Okay. Good evening.
It's working. It's working.
It's working. Turn off the music. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be moderating this panel today. As some of you may know, this is taking place in the context of a week-long process that's called Let's Talk Jewelry, that has been organized by the MWPR company. And the idea is to invite Katerina Perez, who, as many of you know, has a website called katerinaperez.com on jewelry, to invite her to Lebanon and to allow her to meet 5 Lebanese jewelers. This is the first time that 2 jewelers have met on stage here in Beirut, and they're going to discuss a little bit the profession. I would like, if possible, before we begin, to ask you to turn off your telephones, and just so that we have no interruptions. What I would like to do today is something very simple. I'm going to introduce individually each of the 3 panelists. We'll begin with Neda, and then Selim, and then Katerina. They'll speak for a few minutes on some aspect of their profession, their political path. Political path. You see, that's the journalist in me. They're going to talk a little bit about their path in the profession, and then we're going to ask them a few questions, and then go to the audience for you to ask questions. The session is scheduled for 45 minutes to an hour, so I think that's plenty of time to begin to discuss a little bit this very interesting subject of jewelry in Lebanon. Now, Neda Ghazal, as many of you know, is the founder and creative director of Neda G Jewelry. In 1994, Neda went to Dubai. She gained a degree in advertising design from the Lebanese American University. After that, she went to Dubai to work in advertising. She spent a decade there and working for a multinational advertising company. And then this experience allowed her a little bit to get a sense of branding. She won a number of international, regional, and international awards for her work. This experience, combined with her passion for jewelry, convinced her to begin creating her own jewelry line. In December 2003, she showcased her first collection, which included rings, necklaces, bracelets, and brooches. And in October 2004, she established her Neda G brand. Among the awards that she has won is the coveted Best Innovative Design Award for the fusion ring jewelry piece that she designed. She also won the Editor's Choice Award for her Crawl jewelry piece at the International Jewelry London, the ILJ, which is the UK's most established premier jewelry trading event. And she also won the Rising Star Award at Jewelers Circular Keystone in Las Vegas in 2012. So, Neda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael, Thank you, Michael, for the introduction, and welcome to Beirut, Katerina. And I'm glad to be on a stage here with another jeweler, because I believe in collaborating with other designers, which is very important for our society. Today I decided now just to talk about what got me into this. Maybe my experience will inspire you. So I've been infatuated with design ever since I was a young child. And watching my grandmother working with her crochet, I knew that one day I want to be an artisan or an artist. And I'm talking about being 5 or 6 years old. And then I grew up in the UK in a boarding school. My art teacher thought I will always be a painter. I would become a painter. But it wasn't being a painter what I wanted. What I really wanted, even when I was a teenager, was actually to design a product. And the reason I wanted to have product design is because I thought when I design a product, this product will be a connection between me and others. So when I came back to Beirut and needed to go to university, we didn't have a lot of choices when it comes to design. My choices were either shoe design, furniture design, or jewelry design. I'm not going to say unfortunate, maybe it was fortunate that I could not get into any of these because they did not exist. Instead, I did graphic design and fine arts. And after I graduated from university, I decided to go to Dubai to work in some of the best multinational agencies. I worked in the creative department for 10 years in 2 different agencies. And I just always aspired to design my own brand, my own product. So at the age of 30, I decided to actually resign. I left a job of being head of a department in one of the best agencies and moved into an empty apartment in Jamaica. So I moved into this apartment thinking that, okay, great, now I'm gonna create my brand. This is a brand that I've always wished to create, but what it was, I had no idea. And however, I knew that it was jewelry. I've always loved jewelry since I was a child. I've always worn 6, 7 rings since I was 13, 14. So I decided to turn one of the rooms in this empty house to a workshop. So I got the table and some material, etc. But of course, you know, I do not come from any jewelry background, and I don't have anyone into jewelry in our family either. Luckily, I was going through an old trunk, and I actually found old rings that I have made maybe when I was 7 or 8. They were made of copper wires and beads. So I decided to change these rings, actually create these rings in 18 karat gold wires with beads. So I stayed for a few months in this room in the workshop, and I worked and created the first collection on my own through trial and error. After doing that, I decided to do an open house in this apartment, which went really well, and that's how Nadaji started. Now, this has been a bit more than 10 years ago. Definitely, I've been through many challenges, and one of the challenges is that, unlike most of the other jewelers in Lebanon, I do not come from a family of jewelry, whereas other jewelers may be a 2nd generation or a 3rd generation, etc. But I think it's probably my persistence, my passion, and my design intuition that really made me have a spot in the jewelry industry in Beirut, although it came from nowhere. And today we have 3 points of sales in Lebanon. We do sell in few points of sales outside Lebanon as well. And as Michael just mentioned, we've taken few international awards, which put us in the international market. But honestly, like for me, the best part of designing jewelry is being able to translate my emotions into jewelry pieces that can actually touch your emotions. So, and at the same time, it's just a way to connect with all of the women around until I start making jewelry for more men. So, and that's it. I hope this was inspiring, and I hope the rest of the answers would be as well.
Thank you, Neda. Someone who does come from a family of jewelers is Selim Mouzannar.
I'm ashamed.
I know how you feel. Selim, like me, was born in 1963 and studied gemology in Belgium and France. He was later hired by the Mawad company, where he was sent to Thailand. And while there searching for gems, he was apparently kidnapped by the Khmer Rouge. They kept him for only 24 hours, which must be a record of sorts, a happy one.
I'm still alive.
Sorry. He opened his shop in Ashrafi in 1999, and he never looked back. Selim's jewelry has adorned the appropriately named Emma Stone, who wore pieces from his Istanbul collection at the 73rd Venice Film Festival in 2016, as well as Isabelle Adjani when she visited Beirut last year. In his downtime, Selim is active in civil society, displaying a passion for politics and piano, though I have benefited personally most from his passion for wine. Among the awards Selim has won is the 2006 Couture Design Award in the category Best in Color Gemstones above $20,000. The Couture Awards have been called by Vogue of Italy the Oscars of the jewelry industry. And he won this for his emerald necklace with its 747 Muso emeralds, which was also the pick of the night by National Jeweler. Selim, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Michael. I'll try to do it in English. كنت حبيت أحكي عربي بس راح أعمل إفور كبير. I'm not English educated. When I was a young boy, I said, I want to become a journalist. I traveled around the world and write stories, but faute de mieux, I became a jeweler. It's not very honorable in our family to be a jeweler, it's faute de mieux. As Michael already stated, I come from a family of jewelers, where tradition has been passed on from one generation to another. My earliest memories come from my frequent visits to the old gold souk in downtown Beirut. I have grown surrounded by the magic and enchantment of jewelry, gold, precious stone, blah, blah, blah. It was a universe that fascinated me tremendously and certainly impacted my artistic soul. Sadly, in 1976, during the early days of the country's civil war, the souk was destroyed. And even 40 years later, it remains a potent memory I live with. As an independent spirit, I decided to follow my own path. I traveled during almost 20 years to gain my own experience. Came back in the late 90s, I decided to launch my own brand name. I believe in the sharing of traditions and in our ability to enrich them to create beauty and emotion. By combining our talents with those of our ancestors, I play with the codes of classic jewelry by integrating new techniques and stones of unusual colors and sizes to create a collection of powerful, colorful, joyful, inspired, and contemporary jewelry. I want to believe that my jewel express heritage, expertise, strength, optimism, and generosity. Today, the world on the tempo of extremists on every side, we struggle with our creativity, fighting the energies of violence and mediocrity that surround us with our modest means, intolerance, and above all, in beauty. It may not be convincing at first sight, but it is us that history will keep as its most beautiful memory. I'm here tonight to answer all your questions, and thank you for being indulgent with my English.
I love your English, Selim.
Thank you,
really
Selim. You passed the test. You did rather well.
Not really.
And Katerina Perez, Katerina, you're one of the reasons we're here, so welcome to Beirut. Katerina Perez is founder and editor-in-chief of KaterinaPerez.com, a website that describes itself as an online jewelry platform for international jewelry aficionados. Russian-born, Katerina has also written for numerous publications, including Routage, Le Grand Mag, and Rob Report. I'll ask Katerina after she makes her presentation. I'll be asking questions to the two jewelers here, but I'll also ask her, given her perspective as an observer of the sector, of the industry, to ask some questions as well when we get to that. So, please.
Thank you very much, Michael. As Michael rightfully said, I founded the website KaterinaPerez.com because of my passion for jewelry, which I've discovered since early age. What I do is go around the world and see what talent is out there in terms of jewelers, in terms of craftsmen, designers, and then I share my finds on my website and social media. So some of you might know me from my Instagram, Katerina Perez. I'm very happy here to be with you. I believe that Beirut has one of the most amazing creators throughout many people have discovered. Predominantly, my passion for jewelry started a long time ago, and I hope that you can feel it also through reading my articles if you've already done it. I'm here, as Michael mentioned, with the help of Mariana from MWBR, who arranged this trip to discover 5 top jewelers of Lebanon. And I'm very happy to be with you to talk about jewelry today.
Thank you, Katerina.
Thank you, Katerina. Maybe I could begin by asking you a question, Nada, if you don't mind. Something that intrigued me.
If I have to, yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
If you have to, that's fine.
Yes, I have to, and I'm delighted to do so. One of the things I was interested in reading when in reading your biography is how your experience in branding affected, in a way, your dealing with jewelry. Could you explain that a bit more? How does branding?
For me, it affected me definitely positively. The thing is, as you know, as you said, I did work in advertising in the creative department. So for me, building the brand, it made it very easy for me to build a brand. So as soon as I started creating my brand, I knew that it had to have an identity. I knew it has to be different from from any other brand. And as a matter of fact, being alone in the company, when I started, I was my own graphic designer and my own creative. So I worked as my own advertising agency in a sense. That's from the side of building the brand, not from the side of the design. As for the design, I think this is more of intuition. It has nothing to do really with my experience in advertising. I've designed all of my life. I've always designed. My mother is in the audience, and she knows I've always designed a lot of things in the house. Used to color the walls, etc. So the design part is really part of my intuition, is a talent, I think. But then again, the advertising part was more of the part that helped me maybe market the brand and take it a step further when it comes from an identity point of view.
Well, just one follow-up question. I mean, how difficult is it to create a brand? How difficult is it to, in effect, make something like a new brand take in the market, if you will? How difficult has it been for you? That's my question.
I wouldn't say this was the challenge in my in creating the G. Building the brand was not a challenge as much. Like I feel this is why I don't think it was very difficult for me. Maybe it was also natural because I worked for 10 years in advertising and I was building other brands. We worked for some of the biggest brands internationally. I traveled a lot, so I got a lot of training from different agencies, etc. So I wouldn't say that part was the difficult part in creating what Nada G is today. What
was?
Sorry.
What was difficult?
Okay, there are a lot of challenges. I think the first challenge is, and it still is finding a team as meticulous as I am. This is like my biggest challenge at work, I think. I have a great team. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying otherwise, but I'm saying even growing this team to get meticulous people, it's very difficult, especially growing up in the UK and then working in multinationals between Dubai and London, etc. I'm very structured. in my work and in my life in general. So it was very difficult to actually get other people around me to be very structured. So this is one of the challenges. The other challenge was getting to learn how to make jewelry, because I never learned how to make jewelry. It was through trial and error. And I do know to a certain extent today how to actually make pieces of jewelry. A third challenge coming from, like, I had no one around me who actually could teach me about jewelry. Like, for example, Selim, he had this environment, you know, this was his surrounding, but for me it wasn't my surrounding at all. So that's a challenge as well. Competing with second and third generation as well. But I think I'm up to it, so with all humbleness. So these are a few of the challenges, and of course I don't want to get into situations, but we need to remember that, I mean, I started my brand and like I opened my first store in 2004, November 2004. 2004, Lebanon was like flourishing, but then 2-3 months later, Lebanon started going through lots of ups and downs. So that alone also was a big challenge for me.
Why you insist, Michael? She doesn't have to justify, she did it. And she has a very good brand.
Thank you.
What's right?
Thanks, Selim. Selim, in a New York Times profile of you in November of last year, I read this and I was a bit intrigued, of course, by the theme in this, the idea of how you play between a traditional approach to jewelry and modernism. I mean, you always play with this back and forth, and you had a remark that I found a bit interesting. You were speaking about Ottoman enamel pieces, and you said they had more depth than enamel pieces today. What did you mean? First of all, how do you play between traditional jewelry and modern jewelry? First of all, and what did you actually mean about Ottoman enamel pieces?
It's the play of everybody. But, you know, growing in the souk and washing my mind with all this old stuff of the Ottoman was very, very, very aggressive to my eyes, because some sadness in these beautiful jewels reflected in my mind. And I wanted to transform them into some happy messages. This is what I try to do. And I work a lot on the techniques to put new cut and open new colors. This is the balance. But you know, when you want to go into jewelry, for sure design is very important. But I think you have to combine all the efforts of every craftsman in the channel. So if you know well the design you want to make, and then the material you want to use, and you have on your side the right jeweler, the right setter, the right cutter, all the channel is complete, then you have a soul, a real jewel with the soul of everybody inside. And this is how I try to transform old soul and new soul. If you want to do so.
I guess my question, if I can put it a bit more bluntly, if you give a jewel to your wife, for example, how does your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and it's a classical design, how do you ensure that this classical design is not one that will make her look and say, why are you giving me an antique? That's my point. In terms of the design, how do you capture something that is both classical and at the same time modern? Is it in the design? Is it in what you use? I'm intrigued.
You have to know how to dance. Because you know, sometimes you make a modification for something, for a piece, and then the result is awful. You have to respect tradition. I resist against tradition. I resist even to be a jeweler, because every father he is into a profession. He wants to give the heritage to his children and blah blah. I resist a lot, but I understand, and I understood that traditions are there to understand and not to fight. For sure, we want to see what's happening in the future and to make something new, because the world is moving forward. And with the new techniques, with the new cut, we can add some new messages in our work.
Thank you, Katerina. You probably have some questions of your own.
Well, I'm going to ask a question related to what I've discovered recently. By looking at jewelers in Lebanon, I've seen that there are different types. Some of them are historical pieces, which would be a big suite of gemstones, and these are the pieces which are worn for special occasion. And recently I can see that there's lots of emerging designers who create jewelry based on actual design motifs rather than just gemstones. So, Selim, maybe I'll ask you this question. How important the stone is in design, and how important are motifs and design elements? Because you blend both. Like in the pendant I'm wearing, there is important gemstones, but at the same time it's a very cool and modern design.
You know, when you want to make a design, for sure the material is important. And you have to know what is the volume you want to, and what's the color you want. And sometimes you don't need gemstones. You need only the metal. You need the structure. At the end, you have to create a soul before creating value. Before giving value. Value is a relation of power. When you see, even through jewelry, you go 5,000 years back, you see the Indian jewelry or the Egyptian, this old jewelry they wear it in a way to show that they have the rare piece, the powerful, the most expensive. I think today there is a new mentality. People want to wear something they like, they want to feel happy, they want another message. For sure, there is the investment and blah, blah. But at the end, also, it's a kind of balance.
Do you feel it's more and more becoming an accessory, something to continue your style, to express yourself for women, rather than just to adorn themselves, like the way they choose jewelry?
I think mainly if your soul and your spirit is happy, it's enough. You don't need to show it to the other. If you are happy in it, it's enough. Sometimes you don't need jewelry, like you.
But also, because you're internationally present, how do you manage to find this design that actually fits so many tastes? Of a woman in America, a local woman in Britain.
All women are the same. We are all human beings.
Yes.
We all like beautiful things.
And all men too. No, I believe in universalism. I believe, and especially today with communication, and the planet is a village. And for sure, every woman has her own DNA, and you cannot sell or give a piece of jewel to different physiognomy of or mind. You have to adapt and to understand who is the woman behind the jewel.
And I think one of the best things that you two are together is that your design is very, very different. Like, because I see lots of gemstones in Selim's design, with Nada it's so many sophisticated elements, And I've discovered that Nada designs a lot based on her emotions, how she feels about something, and then it comes to life in the form of a jewel. So would you mind sharing with us how it happens from something intangible into a piece of jewelry?
You know, for me, every experience, every feeling, even words, everything in my mind has a form, has a texture, a finish. It has a color. So when I go through a specific feeling, it's easy for me to actually translate it into a specific form. I'm going to give maybe an example or two just so that I get my idea through easier. 7 years ago, when I was pregnant with my daughter, like any other mother, I went through the book of names. And when I was going through the names and I was selecting names, I just got an idea of transforming few names into jewelry pieces. And then a few people in the office said, how are you going to transform just like a name into a jewelry piece? But going back to thinking that even words have forms and character, etc., it was easy for me. And I'm going to give an example of two different names. One of them was Uma. Uma for me is quite light, it's joyful, it's quite shiny, and it has an edge. So basically I created a collection that was quite joyful. So the form of it was fun and joyful, and it had a lot of movement. I made sure that the gold was very glossy. I made sure that I used sparkling diamonds, you know, rather than the icy diamonds. And I made sure that I put a twist to it, an edge to it. And for me, that really translated Uma. And to give you another example, which is quite, you know, the other way, there is also Malak, which I used for my daughter's name. For me, Malak is quite bold. It's quite rounded. It's quite organic. As a name, that's how I actually imagine it. And because it's grounded, it means I used brushed gold. I used very organic shapes, quite big pieces. I'm wearing one of them. And when I decided to use stones, because it's grounded and bold and earthy, I decided to go into icy diamonds that have inclusions and not very shiny. So through doing this, I just feel that any feeling can actually be transformed into a tangible piece.
Some shape. Well, now I also feel that going back to the question about women and their style, Selim, I'm going to ask you this question. What would you recommend to modern women to consider when she's choosing a piece of jewelry nowadays? Because I believe in the past it was probably more the weight of gold and the carat weight. But now, since it's changed in the way they style their jewelry pieces, what do you think is important now?
I told you, it's at the end you have to buy a jewel that makes you first and last happy. It means you have to be comfortable, you have to like the shape, you have to like the stones, and it's a concentration of nature first, because the stones are the result of nature, and the man craft the design, and you have to feel comfortable. If you don't feel, if you wear it to show your neighbor that you are wearing the most bigger, expensive tourmaline or emerald, and it happens. It is real now, but you know it's not our target.
I would also like to add something to that, being a woman. I think before, like in my mother's time, let's say, when they used to buy pieces of jewelry, they used to buy valuable pieces that somehow, glamorous pieces that actually complement their outfit, because they used to wear jewelry more into big occasions. Whereas now, women want to feel different. they want to differentiate themselves from others. They want to express themselves. So when they actually choose a piece of jewelry, they choose something that expresses them, something that differentiates them from someone else. So, and not only actually choosing the piece of jewelry only does that, it's also how you wear the piece of jewelry. For example, two different women can buy the same ring, but depending on how you wear it, gives you, just like translates who you really are and what you are trying to express. So really, jewelry is it's like wearing your emotions from the outside. So I always advise women when they really want to buy a piece of jewelry, besides the value and besides advising them to buy a genuine piece of jewelry, because a genuine piece of jewelry will have a soul, and the soul is timeless, so at least they will know that they have something that would stay forever. I also advise them to buy something that fits their character, that expresses who they are and who they want to, who they want to, like how they want to portray themselves.
I think we can open up to questions from the audience, if you'd like. Yeah, could we?
And tu n'as pas le droit.
Yeah, Mariana, I don't know if you're allowed to.
I'm going to ask you guys. I have a question for Selim. I want to ask you. You work under the name of Mouzannar. Mouzannar. When I see you,
Can you raise your voice, please? It's not. I don't think they can hear you in the back.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. You work under the name of Mouzannar. This gives you security of all the background of the family, or it make you border for your work. Like when I see you, I see a freedom man, a bohemian man. I'm not expecting to see your works. I know your works, but when I go, I buy Mouzannar, I know that the piece what I bought, it's all the Mouzannar family. Why you didn't work in the beginning? Maybe you are obliged for this because you, as you asked, you told us, because you are, maybe you don't want to work in this business you are supposed to work, because to continue maybe the heritage of all the family. But now, you don't feel you want to work under another name, I don't know, another collection, or... when I buy...
I thought about it a lot, and in the beginning, I didn't want to use my name, my family name, because I made it on my own, and all my story is completely independent even from my father and my grandfather. But at the end, it's my name.
Yeah, I agree.
And I do what I'm doing. My ID is there, independently from the family, which I respect their works, but I have I did it, this is my road and my style, and this is how I'm doing it. Maybe there is sometimes a confusion, but when your work has a very clear character and strong, you don't have to be afraid.
Yes, you have a question.
Hi. I have a quick one. You have too many jewelers in Lebanon. How do you feel about other jewelers copying your designs, and how would you handle this?
Is this for Selim?
Copying?
For me or for others?
We can.
How do you feel about other jewelers copying your designs?
Maybe it's a kind of being, how you say, c'est la gloire. C'est un témoignage de gloire. It's more than flattering. It's a testimony that you succeed somewhere. When somebody copy you, it means then.
This is what you think before you call your lawyer?
Yeah. the thing is, definitely it's flattering to be copied, but I feel there is room for everyone, and everyone gets his share, honestly. And the reason there is a room for people to copy because it happens everywhere, it happens all over the world. However, it's a bit unfortunate maybe in our society that wearing a copy wearing a copy of jewelry is okay. The issue is not with people who copy jewelry, really. Sometimes the issue is with consumers who encourage people to copy.
Both, I think.
Yeah, both, of course.
But you know what? All mankind are the same at the end. It's about accountability. If there is accountability in Lebanon, it will be like in France and UK. If in UK there is no accountability and they can copy, for sure you will find people who can copy. And even in France, there is some who copy. At the end, you cannot stop this, but when there is accountability, you can little bit control it.
But, sorry, to add something to that, one of my advices is to really go for genuine pieces of jewelry. Because jewelry is not just about how they look, it's also about how they feel. And I will bet that when a person wears a genuine piece of jewelry, he will feel completely different than wearing a copy.
He will be genuine.
Yeah. No, it's...
So I believe, my question is for both of you. I believe choosing a piece of jewelry is actually related to the personality of the person. So it's kind of an extension of the personality. So my question for you guys is, how do you design keeping your identity and being able to please everyone? Because everyone is different. All the tastes are really different. So how do you do that?
You cannot please everyone.
Not pleasing everyone, I mean doing what you would love and what you see in your head and being able to cater for, I mean, a part of the society that you would like to cater to.
If somebody come to you, it means he likes what you are doing. So after you adapt his character and what he wants and what she wants, and then you find the piece for her. And sometimes you can't.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Katerina.
I just wanted to add something because one of the things I do is I meet jewelers, and I've seen over 500 jewelers in the world. And what I want to say is that Selim and Nada, their design is really the continuation of who they are. It's a part of them, and nothing, a copy can substitute that, because I believe when people come and buy their jewelry, they want a piece of them, right? So jewelry has to be a part of who you are and a part of who the person who you buy it from, isn't it?
Yes, I agree. When you're true to yourself, at the end of the day, you create something that belongs to you, something that comes from within. So this is why we cannot cater for everyone. But definitely when we do create jewelry, or at least when I create jewelry, I try not to mess around with my story and what I really want to create. But while creating, sometimes I do adapt few pieces. For example, I love big rings, but then again, some people might want a small ring, okay? But within the same collection, I might do something that might not be my favorite out of that collection, but it must be something that I love because it comes from me, that could suit someone else. So at the end of the day, it's a business as well. It's creativity, but it's a business. We have to sustain it, and this is the only way we can grow.
It's a conflict.
Well, yeah. So we do, we try to balance it, but without taking away from the design part, from the story, from the soul. That's the most important part that really needs to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another question over here.
Could I ask a question here? Sorry.
Go ahead, Michael.
Quick question. When you begin to design a piece, how do you do it? I mean, what's the process? Do you look at old jewelry? Do you look at books? Do you look at other jewels? I mean, I'm just curious. What is the process when you design a piece?
Okay, when I come up with an idea, that's any idea. Let's say I was talking about Uma and Aya. Okay, what I do, I just start sketching, and then after sketching, I start eliminating, etc. And then I take it further, and then so it's never really related to things. We do. I'm sure we do get inspired by anything we see. Okay, but I mean, when it comes to me, I try not to look at jewelry because I do not want other jewelry to impact little details in what I do.
You have them in your mind.
You do have them in your mind. No, definitely. This is what I'm saying. You do get inspired.
Yeah.
You get inspired by a lot of things. Now, sitting here, I've seen a few things that actually inspired me, and I started thinking, but then, yeah.
Very glad.
Your new collection should be called Let's Talk Jewelry, by the way.
Sorry?
If you make a new collection out of the inspiration here, it should be called Let's Talk Jewelry.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, خلاص, promise.
We do have another question.
Good evening. It's great to see two artists today who are working and putting their hearts and souls and passion in what they do. My question is for both of you though. Where do you see your brand evolving 10 years from now? Thank you.
You want to start?
Where do you see it?
10 years from now. Okay, I've always aspired to go internationally, and this is what I would like to do. However, the only thing that I would like to keep is I want to make sure that I carry on with the same vision. I do want to grow, but I don't want to get too commercial because I do not want to lose that little edge that we have. One of the things that I'd also love to do is to have to grow the business in terms of production. So I aspire to have a big workshop because that's the best part of jewelry. And maybe I would want to be a reference in jewelry in general. Okay, I would want Nadaji to be one of the brands where actually people refer to when they do talk about jewelry. Thank you.
Selim?
Bonsoir.
Can we get the other side, Selim? Why
Yeah,
don't
from
you
my
answer
side,
that?
I want to be, for sure, I see myself on the planet Saturn. Why not? Or the new planets we discovered last 2 weeks ago. I don't know what's their name is. It's like as big as the Earth.
You can put that on one of your rings.
I'm okay. I'm satisfied, and I think my aim in the 10 years, in the coming 10 years, is to retire and to succeed.
Yeah. Too soon for me. Too soon for me.
It means
Selim.
I succeed. If in 10 years I retire, it means I succeed.
Too soon for me. I'm like much younger than you are.
You're free. I'm sure.
Thanks for reminding us.
In the creative and design process, you talked a lot about your personal feelings or inspiration you can get out of an object, a feeling, the technique, the memories you can have. But what about the woman that will wear your design, your jewelry? Do you ever think of a woman, a kind of woman, a modern woman as would do Christian Dior or Chanel when they do a collection?
I think of me. Really, when I
So
design
it's a very
jewelry,
egocentric.
I'm sorry.
Very egocentric.
I'm sorry. When I really design jewelry, I think of me, and I do not search for the woman. I just expect the woman to search for the jewelry.
Did you ever try the process of thinking of a woman?
Did I ever try?
Tried the process of thinking of a woman to design and to create a brand?
Is it a French accent? Are you French?
Look, I do in certain situations, you know. I do in certain situations, especially when some salespeople or jewelry advisors that work with me come and say, you know, but we don't have this and we don't have that, and I tell them, oh, sorry.
No, no.
I mean, as Yves Saint Laurent would say about one collection, this is for a woman, a modern woman, businesswoman, but she has, there is a profile behind it.
Oh yes, of course there is a profile. Of course
do
there is a profile. For me, it's an independent, working, bold woman. Yes, sorry, I didn't get it. For me, it's an independent, bold, working woman who's always on the run. That's how I mean, that's how I think of it.
Je vais répondre en français parce que nous sommes dans un territoire francophone.
Ah oui, bon.
Ici, on est dans le quartier Saint-Nicolas. أنا كنت حبيت أحكي بالعربي كمان بس. Non, je peux répondre en français ou pas?
Oui, bien sûr.
Non, mais la question est un peu trop étalée, mais je vois ce que vous voulez dire. Quand on s'adresse à une collection, on ne veut pas être piégé par un caractère, mais le caractère qui reflète notre façon de penser est automatiquement reflété dans les choses qu'on fait. Mais Yves Saint Laurent, il veut faire rêver, il veut raconter des bobards.
No, that's too fast.
Mais moi, je fais.
That's too fast.
Vous êtes
French, okay, but not too fast.
Mais vous êtes sexiste en plus, parce que nous, moi, je fais des bijoux pour les hommes aussi. Il y a la pression de la fashion, de l'accessoire et du fashion, et du trend, et des collections à présenter, et les dates et tout. Mais je crois, si on veut vraiment aller dans un fil conducteur, il ne faut pas se laisser trapped, piégé par ces codes-là.
So this was my question actually, is fashion influencing your designs and your collections season after season and year after year? Do you evolve because fashion is evolving in a certain way? I mean, I heard you that you get influenced maybe unconsciously, sometimes consciously by stuff and that you see around you. I know how architecture influences Nada because I know her well. But does also fashion play a role in your collections every year, or you just go ahead with your own line of thinking and inspiration and work with it?
I think it's a combination of everything, actually. When I do create a collection, it's not about taking into consideration all of that, but unconsciously, you're fed with all of that. And that doesn't only translate, by the way, in the jewelry collection that I do, it also translates in my daily life, because I've noticed, and so did my husband, that when I create a collection, it even is reflected in the house. It's reflected in my clothes. For example, let's say I come up with a collection that has flowers in them. All of a sudden, I start having more flowers in the house. You know, so I think everything. You know, our mind just absorbs everything. And then when you create, everything comes out. So we're what we see and what we experience. We're not just excluded from all of that. So definitely, I'm very much affected. Sorry, I just lost my thought.
No, you said everything. From my side, I don't create, I only imagine. And the nature is the biggest impact on my mind. And I do everything in my mind before going concrete. It means I dream. And I see all the channel and the material that I want to use, and the craftsmen that I want to talk with, and the structure that I want to do, the message. And talking about payroll on fashion and how you deliver every year, it's a big pressure every year, but you have to resist against the lightness of and the futile side of the fashion, because we know well when you do very much things and you create it, at the end, beaucoup c'est peu, on dit?
Yeah, too much. There is one more thing. I think designers also use their intuition a lot. So in many incidents, you end up creating a collection that you may see in architecture or fashion or interior in like a year, but it's just because I feel creatives are so sensitive that they gather vibes, and by gathering vibes, you're sometimes able to create something before its time, which is a great thing.
I have a question for Katerina. Based on your experience and what you've seen in Lebanon, I personally think there's so much inspiration within Lebanese jewelers. What would it take for Lebanon to become really a mini Silicon Valley of jewelry and to leap for to become really well known all around the world?
I think here, it's important to explore the creativity, like for example, Selim and Nada do. I noticed that sometimes, as we were talking recently about copying jewelry is very common from what I understood. The more jewelers will really try to come out as creative people and take inspirations from the country, from what surrounds them, and not to be scared of not making it or any challenges that they face. That would be probably the key for success, just to be brave, to express yourself, and to use the beautiful craftsmen here, because I discovered there are so many amazing jewelers who actually can create masterpieces with all the details to attention to every single detail, and I believe this would actually will put them on the map. I feel that this is what makes Lebanese jewelers different. They're really meticulous in creating jewelry pieces. Yeah. I hope I answered the question.
Hi, I have a question for Nada or Selim.
Sorry, who's asking?
I'm here. Hi Nada. Hi.
Hi.
Maybe you can hear me. If you don't see me, it's okay.
Sorry, I just need to see the face. This is why.
It's dark here. E-commerce is booming in luxury. It seems to be the way for the future. But when it comes to jewelry, like you said, it's so personal. You have to try it on. You have to really have a connection. How can you really sell online? I know you do sell online.
I don't.
You don't, but I know Selim does. What is your tip for both of you? What is your views about jewelry online? You know, what do you think? Is that the future?
It's definitely the future. As much, if you see the curve since 10 years, you take the case of Hermès, which is the highest luxury brand today. They resist against digital, and today they are like they have 10% of their turnover in digital. But it is there. It's luxury. It's you can go for pizzas for 20 and 30,000 euro on the web. Yes. No. But for sure, there is something you lose. You lose with the digital in relation with the luxury. But with the new techniques and with the new interactive and engineering into the website, you are feeling almost the piece. And for basics one, you can they are ordering. It's easy. I know from my children in London. They don't even go to the shops. They buy everything online. So maybe it's not my generation, but the new generation, for sure the digital will grow and grow. And the techniques to sell it will be more glamorous and
Thanks, Selim. We have, I think, another 5 minutes.
We have another.
So are there any?
There is
final
one more
questions?
question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Please, I need to ask both of you, Selim and Nada, when somebody comes to you, it means he wants something special because he didn't go to anybody else. He's coming to you. So when I come and buy a piece from your shop, do you set a limit to the number of pieces you create, for example, or I can go to, I don't know, an outing and I see all the ladies wearing the same piece. Do you set a number of pieces?
I do for many pieces, yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, sometimes it's not setting a number, but you know, we've had collections that really did well, and because they were doing well, I've decided to stop them, because they were specific collections that had specific kind of women who do not want to look like other women. So sometimes I do not decide on the number before, but you know, at some point I say, okay, fine, this is doing great. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to create something that complements it, something that takes its place, but without being it. So yes, in many cases I do that. I personally do that.
It's the case of my old brands, because when they want to produce a collection, it's a kind of unlimited pieces, but the quality is in proposing a piece handmade with a DNA. You cannot have the same piece, even if it's the same model.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're doing a 3D, because today with the 3D there is no soul anymore. You can design, you can have your design and you print it and you feel that it's a machine made. So we avoid this kind of thing.
I have a question for you guys. So,
we were waiting for
I have a question for you, really, it's important. I have a love for jewelry, obviously that's why we did this. Okay, I think I visited every single workshop of jewelers in the country. And something that really pains me is that I just feel that a lot of people undervalue the amount of craftsmanship, the time, and the work in detail that it takes to really make a piece as small or big it is, as it could be. And I always find that, like when I'm wearing something or I'm, you know, posting something for a client or for a friend or for the love of jewelry, you know, how much is this? Oh, it's really expensive. And, you know, when it's a contemporary piece of art, you don't hear that because it's a vintage piece, it's a Jean Royer, or it's an X, or it's a new upcoming contemporary designer. It's $20,000 or $30,000. Oh, it's a contemporary piece. Yes, okay, I'm a collector. But jewelry is also something that you can collect and has so much value and relates to me personally like it relates to design. How do you, as jewelers, face this challenge, and how do you see yourself building this awareness of jewelry? Because just like art and design, I think jewelry needs an awareness as well. How do you see yourself building this awareness when a client comes in and says to you, oh, I find this expensive, you knowing the amount of time and energy and the value of every little detail that you've put into making your piece?
We do it a lot of times by actually educating the consumer who comes into our stores.
You're an educator?
Sorry? No, really, I mean, you have a lot of people who come in and say, and we've heard it so many times, oh, it's only that much? I thought it would be much more expensive. And you would always have someone who will come and say, oh, I don't know if I want to pay this much. Okay. But then when we hear that, we do explain to people why it costs what it costs. And I think most women are starting to understand the value of pieces when it comes to the value of the piece of jewelry. They do understand the work behind it. These are the pieces, the people obviously who are looking for a genuine piece. But I think here there is a bit of a challenge again because as a culture, we've always had production houses in Lebanon who produce jewelry. So as a culture, women used to just take a picture from a magazine and go to a workshop and say, can you please make this piece for me? And it would cost her much less than buying the original. So because we have this culture, we still have a challenge of women coming and saying, oh, but this is a bit expensive. However, I feel it's getting better. It's getting better. Like now, I think it's better than last year because people are also more exposed to international jewelry.
No, it's a human culture. We say that it's when there is no accountability. You cannot educate people. You need 20 lifetime to educate people. We lose time and you are under stress. If somebody is confused about price, you say to him, "This is the price."
But we can also say why this is. No, but we can also say why this is the price because
if he trusts what you are doing and you're doing your job from the right side, it's
true.
It's a conflict, but you know, Katerina, finish with this. Yalla, we want to sleep.
Well, I think.
Please go.
Michael.
I think if there is no more questions here, the talk will come to an end. But during the cocktail, you'll be able to possibly ask for more questions.
No, so I have nothing to say. Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Selim.
Thank you, Selim. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Michael.
Sorry for my awful intervention. And English.
And thank you, Mariana, for getting this together.
Thank you.